you did a hot boxing with Mike Tyson, and I mean the first half hour you were talking about things that you used to do and things that you're doing now. So my question revolves around personal growth. You're now a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
You used to say, you know, you eat meat, whatever. You used to party, smoke, drink, whatever, that, you know, that kind of lifestyle. Now you're doing mushrooms. You have your Metatoad.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about DMT. I've done DMT. That shit's wild. I've done some mushrooms. Mom, hope you're not listening. But my question is, like, you've grown up. Clearly, you've got, like, you got it going on, bro. Like, you're like, you're knocking people out in the ring, but here, just like, you're very chill, casual dude. The personal growth. When did you have to grow up? And what did, like, what you're doing now with because your company, is it Metatoad? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Metatoad.
Just explain the personal growth and where you're at, even with your diet, your health, your exercise, your mentality, your emotions, things that you're putting in your body. Where's that all at?
You know, I felt like I needed to grow up, and just, you know, when I just kept bumping my head, you know, and just having setbacks happen to me, and just trying to figure out, like, where it was coming from, you know, and how I was my own worst enemy, and how I kept on causing myself to have these same repeating patterns in my life. And, you know, facing a lot of the part of myself that I didn't want to face before, you know. And, you know, I point to psychedelics, not because I'm like, everybody needs to, you know, use psychedelics in order to get to find truth, but using psychedelics allowed me to get perspective. You know, the only thing that can help you get perspective without it is time, you know, but sometimes you don't have time, you know. And being able to get the perspective that I have when I was, you know, using psychedelics allowed me to see areas in myself that I was, you know, I needed to change, and areas I needed to confront. And those, you know, was a spawn of, you know, that was a spawn of me, you know, changing and wanting to do better for myself, and, you know, doing better for people that I affected, you know, by being a certain kind of way. And that was only something that only I could do for myself. There was only something that I had to see for myself, but, you know, I wasn't able to see for myself because I was caught in that habitual pattern of just doing the same thing and not being able to see, you know, where I was coming up short. And so it's been a different path for me, and that's why I even came back to fighting. You know, just because I want to feel it from this perspective. You know, I fought from one perspective for the longest time, but I never fought, you know, in this perspective. And I wanted to just, you know, have that and experience that, because, you know, I've grown so much in this area where I just wanted to see what it would be like now.
It's hard to fight from a place of you know, confidence like that in yourself. So much of fighting comes from self-hatred and self-loathing, and, you know, externalizing a lot of the things that you know, you've internalized your whole life. So now when you find peace, is there any fear that you won't have that same rage? You won't be able to unleash that same, you know, get yourself into that same, you know, violent primordial being you need to be to face another man like that?
That's a good question. I feel like that's one of the things that kind of led to me not fighting the way I felt like I needed to fight in the last few fights, is because, you know, I found peace in a lot of different areas where I was struggling before. You know, fighting has been therapy for me, to be honest, you know, and some of the things that I was working through in life, I found a way to work through them through fighting. But now as a fighter, and where I'm at right now, I don't feel like I need to be angry or have the feelings of that dog, you know, in that kind of way. You know, now I know how to hit a switch and mentally bring myself to that point, and, you know, unleash that beast and be savage when I need to be, and at the same time, you know, be another way when I need to be.
Well, it's not just you. I mean, you know, you look at guys in the NFL, they don't know that at the end of their career they can turn it off, or even in the off season they can't turn it off.
Yeah.
You look at dudes that are fighting, you look at soldiers that come back. I mean, and it's not necessarily their fault. When you're trained to be a hammer, all you're going to see is nails.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, in that regard, I mean, it's a really interesting, you're almost like a case study. You're a case study for you know, professionally violent people to see if they can kind of turn it on, turn it off, and if it can be controlled violence, or if that just kind of takes over your personality.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting process, to be honest, because, you know, you have this mindset where, you know, you are a fighter, and when you engage that beast enough times, it just becomes who you are on so many different levels. So then when you don't have it anymore, you have to find a new way to let it out, without letting it out in an uncontrolled manner that is not acceptable anymore. Because, the best thing about the 15 minutes of fighting is the fact that that's your chance to let it all out, be the animal that you want to be. And it feels good. It feels good to just let it out. But you're not always going to have that in life. So you have to find different avenues to let it out in. And I've been fortunate enough to learn how to do that outside of fighting. And now that I felt like I've learned how to do that, I feel like, I'm ready to fight again.
Yeah, that's, the famous quote. I mean, this goes back to what Pat was saying about John Jones. The problem is you stare into the darkness long enough and eventually the darkness stares back, right? So, if John Jones is trained to be a fighter and there's nobody in front of him to fight, he's going to start fighting himself.
Yeah.
These other guys find that. You said one other thing, life outside of fighting. For guys, you see so many great champions that they don't know when to walk away.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.